Good morning, Bridget. So, I'm at my desk, I'm trying to do my coursework, I keep being distracted. Not by anything in particular, my mind is whirring. We talked about this, it happens all the time, it's part of my neurodiversity. It's sometimes difficult to contain, so I thought, you know what? I'll have a chat with my friend Bridge, I'll get it all out, and then I'll be able to focus on my coursework, which is all about diversity and inclusion. So this brings me to my first little thought, which was over the weekend when I was reading the articles in the Times and the Telegraph about the children that have had to move school already because of this policy and the children that will be moving school because of this policy. It's not the 3,000 you said, it's 8,500. Now, in one class, there were 3 new children in a science class and there were no seats for them. So they had to stand, I think, at the side of the class. There was no desk for them or seats, so they had to stand at the side. Now, what does the teacher do? Does the teacher turn around and say, okay, 3 of the existing students, you need to give your chairs up for the 3 new kids? Or do the 3 new kids have to stand at the back? Because it's not the existing kids' fault that they've got 3 new students. They didn't ask for them, they don't want them, so why should they give their chairs up? But then the 3 new kids, they don't want to be there either. It's not their fault. They wanted to be in their old school where they had chairs and desks, but they haven't got them. So the teacher's got this real sort of moral conundrum standing at the front of the class, looking these kids in the eye, which is something you've never done. Well, certainly not at private schools. You do it at state schools, but I get you probably aren't going to go anymore, are you? Because you're going to have to look around and go, shit. That's not a class of 30. But this teacher does. This teacher has to look them in the eye and work out who gets to stand up. Now, I should imagine they'll rotate it. Or maybe bring a chair in from home. Or, I don't know, can the kids bring in like a picnic chair or something? What do we do? Because there's no money to give these children chairs or desks. Because we know that there was no money added to the budget to cater for the children coming in from private school. So, yeah. I mean, where do they sit? Genuine question. What does this teacher do? Because this teacher is... So here's an insight, Bridget. Teaching is vocational. Do you know what that means? You can look that one up. This teacher wants the best outcome for all the children in front of them. This will hurt this teacher because this goes against their morals. This goes against why they're teaching, because they want the best for every child, yet they can see that not every child is getting the best. And they don't know who to penalise, but they've got to penalise someone. Now, that's a tough choice. And they won't find that easy. You say you've got tough choices, but you just made choices that suited your rhetoric, and you did find it easy because you couldn't give a shit. But this teacher won't have found it easy. So that was something that I was thinking about at sort of 2 o'clock in the morning. Then I was thinking about my weekend. Now, I was very lucky this weekend, Bridget. I went to the London Palladium to watch Panto Land. We do it every year as a family. It's our Christmas present from ourselves to ourselves. My kids are at an age now where they don't need, all of the toys and the batteries and all of that kind of rubbish. So we treat ourselves to an experience. And for Christmas, we go to see the pantomime and we go and have a smart lunch. So we went for dim sum and it was brilliant. It was lovely. And it's expensive. It's really expensive. We got the cheapest seats at £45 each, but it was Julian Clary, Nigel Havers, Jane McDonald. I mean, the set, the costume, it's just, you really ought to go. It might make you smile. Actually, don't. As soon as I've said that, don't go. You will not get a warm welcome. And that won't feel very nice. That would be like in Oxford. Again, when you were studying history in Oxford and you didn't feel accepted, you will not feel accepted at the Palladium. Shall I tell you why? Julian Clary did a joke at Nigel Havers' expense. He does it every year. It's so funny. So I could watch Julian Clary and Nigel Havers all day. And it was about the pensioners' winter fuel cut. I'm not going to ruin it for other people that are going, but suffice to say, it did not go in Labour's favour, specifically Keir Starmer's. Now, my dad told me, my dad loves stats. In fact, my dad ought to come and work for you. He's a whiz with numbers. He told me there were 2,400 seats in the London Palladium, and we couldn't give a standing ovation because they're those seats that are like that big, and once you get out, you can't get yourself back in, and if you've got your bag and your scarf and what have you, and you're sort of half sitting on the next person, so you can't actually get out of your seat. When the Palladium was built, it was made for people with much smaller bottoms. But what we did, we clapped above our heads. We roared and cheered for a good couple of minutes. It was the biggest laugh of the night. 2,400 people who will be from every political persuasion. They applauded and backed Julian Clary. I mean, let's have Julian Clary for Prime Minister. God, please, could someone do that? That would be the best thing ever. They did not back you, so don't go to the Panto, Bridget, because I don't think you will get a warm reception. But we did go to the Panto, and it was really lovely. And I feel like we're not in the minority. And it's sometimes good to feel that way. It's sometimes good because you can sort of sit in your own polarised little pocket going, is it just me that thinks this isn't right? Is it just me that thinks that this is discrimination? Is it just me that thinks that this is, choosing a sector of society that's never going to be able to fight back, that's never going to, they don't get the vote, they don't get a voice, they're relying on their parents to speak for them. Yeah, but it's not. It turns out it's really not. The feeling towards the Labour government, Bridget, you don't need the polls to tell you. You just need somebody to go to the Panto and they'll tell you. So I was thinking about that quite a lot. And then I was very much thinking about the probably 16,000 parents who today will be having a really bad day at work because their kids have gone to a school that they don't want them to go to. And I was thinking about the 8,500 children going to a new school that they don't want to go to. And I was thinking about their classmates in the old school that are going to miss them. We have that firsthand in our house. And one of my children is not going to school with a spring and a step today because some of her friends won't be there. And that's rubbish. And she knows that who's next? They all do. They all feel like they're on borrowed time because some woman decided somewhere that she was going to ask kids to pay for education for other kids. And then that got me thinking. You can see how the mind goes. It's like, woo, 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 woo. It got me thinking about Dragon's Den. You'll see where the link comes from in a minute. So if you're going to ask someone to invest in you or a product, you have a business plan, don't you? And I'm thinking, well, Bridget's asked us to invest 20% of our earnings into the state system. Now, she's only asked a few of us to do it. She hasn't asked all of us to do it. So I didn't know how many dragons she'd be asking. There's normally 5, aren't there? So she's probably only asking 2. Well, let's hope it's not Peter Jones or Deborah Meaden for you, Bridge, because it would be an instant no. Because Peter Jones he's quite affable, isn't he? He's quite nice, but he'd get to the chase very quickly of, well, where's your business plan? Where's your impact assessment? Well, how much money are you going to make me in the first year? Where's your profit? Where's your loss? And you wouldn't be able to answer that. So he'd say, sorry, Bridget, I'm out. And then you get to Deborah Meaden and she'd just basically chew you up. She would pull you to shreds. Now, I don't know where they sit on the political spectrum. They could be staunch Labour supporters. Fine. Be whatever you like. Doesn't bother me. I've always said this is about policy. And what I do know is that Peter and Deborah will look at this from a financial perspective because they'll want to know how much money it's going to make. They'll want to know what their investment is going to return. And you can't tell them that. And I just thought maybe Spitting Image could do the Dragons and Bridget. You could have Lord Sugar at the end presiding over it and then Julian Clary at the other end presiding over Lord Sugar. It would just, you're welcome, Spitting Image. You can have that one on me. You'll get a lot of viewers. But where else in the world would you have a position, a policy where you're asking people to invest 20% of their money and give zero information that's actual real information about where it's going, what it's going to do, who it's going to help, what the return is? Because yours, Bridget, yours has all been plucking stuff out the sky and sort of winging it and hoping. But that's gone horribly wrong. particularly with the fact that we've got 8,500 kids starting a new school today, and it was supposed to be 3,000 over the year. We've had no extra money for those 8,500 children, so the resources are being stretched even before the new budget comes in for schools. Then we've got another 35,000 starting in September. Well, where's the money coming from for them? Because it can't be coming from VAT, because there's no parents in private schools anymore to pay the VAT. So the revenue has gone down because you weren't expecting people to pull their kids out. You said they wouldn't. And we know that what Bridget says is, well, in this case, not true. So it's backfired on every single level. And we can sort of have a laugh and a joke about that at your expense, but it stops being funny when it's at kids' expenses. It stops being funny when actual real life children, the little people, the ones that we're supposed to protect, the ones that we're supposed to nurture, it's going to make me cry. We are their safety. We are their security. We tell them it'll be all right. We help them. We're adults. We use our lived experience to give them the best experience they can possibly have. We are there to nurture and protect them. And there's 8,500 children in school today who didn't want to be there. So 8,500 classmates who are going to have to sit next to them that don't want them there, or give up their chair, or give up their desk. 16,000 parents who are having the worst day at work ever because they feel they failed their children. They had nothing left to sell. They had nowhere else to get the money. You remember when you brought your baby home from hospital and it was the most precious bundle you'd ever held in your life, and you promised you would do everything you could to protect that baby. 16,500 parents today feeling like they've let them down, that they couldn't keep that promise. You did that, Bridget. I don't normally do the tears, but I can't imagine those children without feeling sick. I couldn't look them in the eye. You've never been to a private school, so you will never look private school children in the eye in that setting. Next time you go to a state school and you meet some of those children, speak to them, Bridget. They were in private, they're now in state, so you have to care about them now. They're in your 93%, which is fast becoming 94%, that you have to care about. Now, they're going to be as welcoming as the London Palladium Theatre to you. They're not going to vote for you when they get to 18. I mean, I don't know who is going to vote for Labour, but they're not going to vote for you. They don't agree with what you've done. And you know what? The people that they sit next to in the school that they're disadvantaging, they're not going to vote for you either because they don't agree with it. Not one child agrees with it. I don't know about the parents. Can't speak for all of them. But I know the kids, they don't want this. And they are going to turn into the voting public, Bridget. God help you when they do. I don't know if that's cleared my head or not. I think I'll go and make a coffee. Oh, well, very quickly, let's address the change of venue before. There's obviously going to be the trolls out there talking about, oh, look at you with your background. I mean, I could be in a shipping container for all you know. Assumptions, let's make them. Let's make all of the assumptions you want to. Write them on a comment, do whatever you like. I'll address them. I'm not shy about addressing anything whatsoever. Make your assumptions, but let it be known that is my daughter. It's a photograph of her in a holiday in Wales, I think we were. We weren't staying in a 5-star hotel or anywhere near it. It was a family holiday in Wales and it's in an IKEA frame. I got the light behind me, the wall light, from eBay. I did buy the 2 lamps and I'm not sorry. My kids hate them. They want them to be like white plastic stuff, but I love my lights, so I'm not going to do that. I've got a green wall. What does that say about me? Anyone? I mean, that's going to say something to somebody. There's a sideboard behind me. That was Facebook Marketplace, £45. Card. In fact, the clutch of the truck did go when I went to pick that up. And I've got a door. I mean, again, someone will have something to say about my door. Go for it, whatever. I'll address your comments because I've worked out now where to see comments on TikTok. I didn't know where they all were before. So I'll have a little 10 minutes on that if you want to. Go for your life. Anyway, Bridge, it hasn't been nice, but it's been good to get it out. Don't go to the Palladium. But for anyone else who wants a good laugh, go and see Julie and Clary at Panto Land. It will be the best £45 you spend this year. Ciao.